Just 1 second, I'll just put on a jacket, and then we'll start. Oh, that's a bit heavy, I'll put it on. Well, I got a light one here.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks very much.
No problem.
Good. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
They can hear me? Good. Okay, so we're learning in the Hamshach B'shar Shehikdimu Tov Reish Ain Beis in Ain Beis, and we're about half of the way through the Maimah Bereshit Bara, or a little bit more than half, Bereshit Bara Elokim Eis HaShamayim Ve'eis HaOretz of Shabbos Pascha Bereshit Tov Reish Ayin Hey. And we're at present on Omid Tov Shin. And tonight is Oyer the Kof Gimel Iyar Toshinayan Vov, and we're holding somewhat near the Siyum of the Omud of Tov Shin. We're holding on the line which begins with the word Horoimamas with a Hey, and we're holding by the expression Gam Yesh Leima, the Bechinas Ayin de Malchus. That's where we're holding. And up till here, we learned that the Rebbe said that the word Ani and the word Ayin are the same oisias. The word Ayin means how Malchus becomes a shoirish for the Hisavas Yesh Mi'ayin in Biyar. And that's called the Ayin of Malchus, and the Yesh is Misava from that Madrega of Ayin in Oilamas Biyar. That's the Hisavas of the Yesh in Oilamas Biyar. And the Inyan from Ani is the Ha'ora of Atzmusi Yisborach. Dahainu, the Inyan of Seiviv Kolalmin, Al Choponim, the Madrega of Shem Havaya, how that's Megala, the Inyan from Seiviv, the Oyer, Al Islamayla mi Oilamas Biyar. And that's the Inyan from Ani. What Ani indicates, the Inyan from Atzmias. When somebody refers to himself as Ani, he's referring Yelakol Atzmusay. So we were masbir in the previous part of the Maimah that there's a madrega of Ayin Hakolo bi Ani, and there's a madrega of Ani Hakolo bi Ayin. And we saw that the Indian of Ayin Hakolo Bani was al derech what is Mavaya in Shara Yichud Ve'amuna Peri Gimel, the Eir HaShemesh Eishu Kolo Ubotol V'Teik Etzem Kadura Shemesh. What even though it's a Madrega from oil, but it's so bottle that Eina Oila B'Shem Klau Benager to the Etzemina from oil. However, Benager L'Tuikev Toichen V'Is Galas of that oil, then Kemuvan, it's on a much higher madriga, and that's because since it's off oyer, it's got some shaykhs to eventually be shayte savas or ilamas, and yet nonetheless, since it's kol be'etzem moya be'etzem atzmusay, then it's on a much higher madriga, and that's the Indian what Malchus Beklau. The pasuk Laman Yizamer Chovid V'lo Yidoim. What that's in how Malchus is mistake Lalis mi bia le Shursha. En not stam de Shursha in Malchus, aber de Shursha als is korrel in de innen Atzmus, wat dat is in van Ani. And that's the iron a korrel Ani, and that causes the union van, like we saw, that it's Laman Sufis Ravoyo is that's Mayor, as is brought down in the Pasuk Papasha Netzovim, that Hatz Mayor is the union of Malchus, what indicates the thirst on the union of Malchus, Lalis Lashursha. And that is the aliyah of Ayin into Ani. However, we developed further and we saw that there was the union from Ha'oras, V'hamshoches, Ani, B'toich Ayin. And we saw that that was the union of the Gilui Ha'atzmos, or Ha'ora Me'atzmos Al-Chaponim, in the union from Ayin of Malchus, as already Ashurish Libiyah. And there we saw that that was the union of the Giloi of Bechinas Yochid, or the union from Erakus als Ramayla me Shurish or Shaychas Linyan or Elamas, in the union of Malay was Mavaya earlier in the Os, but that's the union from Noetz Chiloson. Seifon, the Davki in the lowest of all Madrigas, the Indian of Malchus, which is the Indian from Ayin, Ashayat Lebiyah, a Davki dot is Meir, the Indian Pnimis Akesa, or that's the Indian from Atik. And therefore he brought it as a Gilui of Atik in by way of Isgalus in Arich, but they're the two Madrigas in the Mamutza of Kesa, into the union of Ayin. And that's the what he went on to say, that even though Atik va'Arich are Muvdolim Zemizeh, nonetheless there's a Gilui of Arich in the union of Atik. And like it was Mavaya Barichas in the first Chelik, that really the two Stodim of the Mamutza are not really Mekushorim Zebazeh, ela Muvdolim. And the Moshel for the Koyach lechaber otam, and bechol even lehavir as ashpoer lebiyah, that a Moshe from that is the union from the Maturgaman, that he stands between the Rav who's moved over Tachlis, from the Shoimim to the union from the Shoimim, the Makablim, and he brings down what the Rav says in a way that it can be nishpa, ela Makablim, Avu Bikain. He doesn't just give over exactly the Divrei Harav, Kamoy Shaheim, but he gives over the Divrei Harav, Ekshuhu Mekabel Zeh B'chushim Shalo, and they have a certain nearness to the Chushim, but the Mekablim, and he's able to give it over. So if he said, we see that the Inifan Atik va'Arich are really Mutolim Zeh Mizeh, and that's what he's married over there in the first Chelik, that you can't really say that they're the two Tzodim and the Mamutza, even though they are, but they're really not. Ve'emes, v'chulu, with the ganze arigas that he brought down over there. However, what is Nager to our Indian is that in the Indian and the Ayin of Malchus, there's Nimta a certain Indian or Ha'ora of Atik. And in our Loshan here in our Maimah, as he said, Lafi Amavur Khan, das ist the Gilui of Ani in the Indian of the Ayin. Das ist the Gilui, the Ha'oras Ha'atzmas in the Shurish, of the whole Ashpor, and to Biyah, well, that's the Indian of Ani Sheba Ayin. Of Amira, that's the Indian that we learned up till now, that the Ikar Hashpoa of the Indian of Atik and Pnimis Akesa into the Ayin is Deret Kilo the Mamutza of Keser, of Sof Kosor. It's only a Ha'ora of Atik in the Indian of Ari, which is shy to the Shurasha Malchus, how it is in Atzilus. And we saw that what is that Nager Le'inyoneinu? We saw that all that is Nager Le'inyoneinu, that from that there comes about the Nisim Amalubashim B'Teva. That since there's a Inyan in Malchus of Lagamri Lamayla Me'ateva, what that's the Inyan from Ha'oras Ha'ani Shebetoch Ha'ayin, and that's there in the Inyan HaMalchus, and therefore you can have the Inyan from Nisim, even though they're Malubashim B'Inyan HaTeva, because the Inyan HaTeva, or that's the Inyan from Malchus Stam, the Ayin of Malchus, how it's Meir into Biyah, or that's the Klolos of the Shem Elokim, or that gives rise to the Inyan HaTeva. But if we're saying there's a aura of an Ani in the Inyan of an Ayin, then that elevates the Inyan of Teva, as the Rebbe calls it in other drushim, and he also refers to it here briefly, as the Reimamus HaTeva, the elevation, and the exalting, literally, of the Inyan HaTeva. And that gives rise to the Inyan Anisim, that even though the person sees that that's a Nes, Afal Pikein, it comes through a certain Islabshas in the Inyan von Levushay HaTeva. It comes through a certain garment, what that's the Inyan HaTeva, and what that's the Inyan von Asiba, that there's a certain cause and effect. The Afal Pikein, Roim as Inyan, Margishim Sezer Lamayla Me'ateva. And that's Kilu Muna Poshu Kulam, that's a Inyan from Lamayla Me'ateva. And therefore he says, Etza Manes Ulamayla Me'ateva. That's where we were holding Bezeru Shanes Uloshon Hagbo V'Roimamas. As a one on the word Nais is from the flag of a ship, which is called a Nais, what that goes up onto the highest part, and that's Marumim Mikola Anoshim Shevasfina. And that's the Inyan from Nais, is the Inyan from Hagbo V'Roimamas. V'Ahinush Shazehu Mepchinas Ani, that really comes from Lamayla, Me'a'olamaz, and Afila from Atzilas. Rach, he said, Liyoser Mepchinas Ani Sheba Ayin, since it's the Ani which is Meya and Mizgala in the Inyan from Ayin, as who Mokeh Sha'ayin who Mokeh HaTeva, that the Ayin is the Mokeh of the Teva, but the Inyan from Ani, the Ha'oras Ha'atzmas, is Meya in the Ayin. Okay, and who Nes Amalubish B'Teva. There's the Inyan from Levushay HaTeva, and there's the Inyan from Sibois, Mesibois Sheinas, Adidei Inyan HaTeva, or everybody is Makir, and it's borrowed to all the Makablim, but that's a Inyan from Lamayla Me'ateva. V'zehu B'chinas HaReimamas Sheva Malchus. But that's the whole Inyan of the Reimamas that there is in the Inyan from Malchus, which comes from in other words, how Malchus is withdrawn from the Etzem Matzah of Biyah and exalted, what that comes from the Gilei of Ani Sheba'ayin. But that can, Be'erev, that's where we were holding, and since we missed out last week, I thought it was probably to do a little bit of Chazorah. That's where we were holding. So now he goes on to say a new Inyan. And the Rebbe says, Gam yesh lema, that we could suggest that Bechinas Ayin de Malchus, who was Reinumas HaTeva. In other words, that it's very common in the Hemshech Ain Beis, having established a certain point and a certain Inyan Ba'ira, the Rebbe is in Metakin, or what you might say, he causes a certain modification in the Inyan, and he learns it slightly differently. And so what he's going to say, Mikana Lahaba, is that we don't have to stress that the Icha Koyach of Reimamas HaTeva is from the Ani, Lagamri Lamayla Miha Oilamaz, which is Meya in the Inyan from the Ayin. But we can say that the Koyach of Malchus, how it's the Ayin itself, of the Inyan of Biyah, and it's the order, the Ayin HaKorav Le'Yisavas HaYesh. In that Gufa, you can have the Nasinas Koya to the Roima Masateva, and you don't have to argue that it's Davki Mitzad, the Inya van Ani Kilo Bilvat. And therefore he said, Gam Yesh Lema, the Beginners are Ayin, the Malchus, who beginners Roima Masateva. The Ayin of Malchus, that itself is the Roima Masateva. The base Beginners Ani, Ayin, Zeu Kamo base Madrega Shebekesa, Beginners Atik Va'arik. That we can suggest that the two inyonim of Ani Va'ayin, like we argued before, but we're not coming from a slightly different angle, that they are the two inyonim of Atik. Atik is Ani, and Arik is the inyan from Ayin. However, it's well known that they're Mudolim Semizer, but that was the whole pshat in the previous Chelik. Varichas, what he learned, that basically they are not Makushorim Sebezer, over Beika, they're Mudolim Sebezer, which means that if we say they're parallel to the two Inyonim, Ani Va'ayin, and that means that the Ayin is loved out here, Mekabel, the Nasinas Koya from the Madrega El Yoina, Mudal Mimeno, but it itself has the Koya to give rise to the Inyan Nisim, Hamuruboshim B'derech HaTeva. Diimi Yoid, Shu B'chinas Ayin, HaMochel Yesh, nonetheless, since, even though that's the inif and the Ayin word at Lachir, it's the Mokia of the Yesh. Yeah, how's that the Nasin squared to Nisim? Shalamayla Me'ateva. So he says, Haritzeh, B'chinas Avdola Varichu. In other words, that the Etzem Ayin itself is B'chinas Avdola Varichu. In other words, it being as it is, kilo bedugma to the inya from Arich, then it has in itself a certain ha'ora of a koyach, albeit from the inyan akesa, and that's only a ha'ora b'vad, but nonetheless, that is b'chinas havdola v'richa l'gabi biyah. What about the koyach ha'poyel benifal? So the koyach ha'poyel benifal, but that's already from Chitzonius Amalchus. So that's what we're talking now, that it itself is the Nisim. Ramayla Me'ateva, Amuruboshim B'teva, then we're not talking about the Chitzonius Amalchus, of course, we're talking about the Pnimis Amalchus. Canal, he said, Perek Kovchet. He said, the Yesh Loima, we can suggest now, Shagam Mizeh, meaning from the Madrega of Ayin, how it is Mitzad Atzmei, not Mitzad the Madrega of Ani, which is poil through it, but Yocheliya is Nisim. Sharein is Boliyil, Perek Kovdalet, Veshin Kovkes, the Mashan is Sava, Mezeh Ben Ivroim, who is Sava Satsura, who in a Beetle, Shebohem. But it's well known and brought down at the beginning that the Kuntres Eitz Chaim from the Rebbe Nishmos Eden, from the author, from the Mechaber, and brought down in those two chapters that we have what's called Surah V'choimer. And we say that there are two factors work together in the Inyan Abriya. One of them is the Inyan for Chayvetz, of a Rotzen, Pnimis HaRotzen, Rotzen Beklal. And then there's the Inyan of Dibur, of Yema Hashem, Ain Beis Piyomim, B'maisa Bereishis. And then there's also the Inyan of Maimon Chazal, that we learned in Pirkei Avos, this last Shabbos, B'Sorah Ma'amores, Nivra Ha'olam. So the Rebbe points out that the Etzem Choima HaNivroim, that comes from the Minyan HaDibur. Ve'ila the Inyan Rotzen, that's Poel HaInyan Kloli, which is called the Inyan from the Tzura, as it were, the shape or the form. And in Ruchnius that means the Ike Pnimius HaKavona Shebohem, the Ike Rotzen, was Vilman. What do we want? Be'emes, from the whole Bria. And what's the kilo the Kavona Pnimius? That's called the Tzura. He said, "V'huin a bitl shebehem," meaning that all the Nivroim in Bia have in themselves Ain Bitl, either a bitl which has to be worked out through Avodah, or a bitl kilo mitzad atzmon, mitzad etzem, av mesuteres v'od inyonim that they were kabel from the Ovid. Aber auch upon him, that Indian von Pnimis Amalches, das mashpia Indian von Bittel in the Nivroim. If a Bittel says a very special Bittel hazeh, who inya mashakosu, v'chochma toes lechocham, yoisa me'asora shlitim asher bo'iyah. But that's a posik in Koheles. What it means is that the union of Chochmah, gives power to a Chochem more than 10 dictators or leaders or shlitim, governors in the city. And so at the beginning of the Hemshire, and also it mentioned in a couple of places, the Rebbe's been Masbir, that the union from Chochem and Chochmah is the union from Chochmah to Atzilus, and the sort of shlitim shebe'ir is the closest union from the Esespheres. Now they nimshuk one from the other, and they give rise to the Gilui of Oirus Bekelim in Oilam Atzilas. However, Chochmah, being a Chochmah me'ayin timotzei, the union from Chochmah is mudal mizer. And he said that the union from Chochmah is toes lechochom. Well, that gives a bitl into the inner Chachomim, more than the inner and all the rest of the Esespheres. Why? Because Chochmah may ayin timotzei, the inner of Chochmah also has a gile harotzen, kemuvur en tanim perek lamed hey. Yeshu b'chinas bitl atzmi, and that's not just a bitl, but it's a very powerful bitl, which is a bitl be'etzem hayesh. I don't know if it's bitl b'matzias, but it's in the inner of bitl hayesh, a very powerful bitl. And there it's called bitl atzmi, that he's able to give himself away completely, like a motion is bu'aliyil perivol. But over there, the Rebbe is mavai right near the beginning of the Hemshah, that there are two inyonim in the Oirus v'kelim in Atzilas. One is how the kelim are mastir on the Inyan Oir, and they give rise ultimately to the Ayin Shebamalchus and the Hilam Be'ester of the Boirami and Ivroim in the Isavas of Yesh Me'ayin. And then there's another Inyan where Atzilas is meant to be mamutza between Ein Sof and the Oilamas, not just to be Mahaver, the Yesh Me'ayin, but to be Megala Elikuz, and to bring the message and the Gilui of Elikuz into Bia. That's the Inyan von Sfiras HaChochmah. Because Chochmah is Me'ayin Timot is Mekabel for Lamayla Me'a Chochmah, and that's a Chochmah To'is LeChocham. That gives a very special bitl and a very special way into the Mekabel Mimeno. And that's the Inyan what he said, bitl atzmi. Yeah, well that comes mitzad the Inyan from Chochmah Shabbatzilas. In other words, that comes not be'ikeh shalamayla me'atzilas, but how already the oyer is already matim, and it's got a shaykhas to the Inyan from oilam ha'atzilas mitzad Inyan ha'chochmah. V'im kein me'acher shemezeh ineh hisavas metzias anivroim. Well, this Inyan is not the actual savas of the Nivroim, but that's through the further Tzimtzum and Helam of the Oirus inside the Kelim. So this is already the Inyan and the Gilui mitzad Chochmah, or it's mitzad Chochmah, not mitzad Legamri Lamayla. It's how Lamayla is mislavish, or auch upon a miskala derech HaChochmah. Matzir ki'im adarabah ha'bitl shalehem, hu bechinas bitl atzmeh. So it's a stam of bitl, but a very powerful bitl layesh. Ve'im came movan sheyochel yesh mepinas u'madrega zu, from the pnimius of the Ayin, from the Ayin atzmeh, beli the gilui of the ani, being poil through the bittel of the iron altogether, nor that's the koich of the iron itself, being as it is a ha'orah from the chokhmah, or a chokhmah toyes lechokhom. Or madrega zu gam inen I'm sorry. Shiyochel li is mibchino madrega zu gam inen anisim. There can also be. We don't have to say that the Iker Koyach is the Ani, which is the Inyan Vanatik. Well, that can be Mitzad the Inyan Van Chokhmah Datzilas Atzmai. And it's also a Misava Mi'ayin, but it's already Shaykh, be Iker to the Gilei of Atzilas. Nonetheless, we can say that that becomes Pnimius Amalchus. It's not Shaykh to the Oisias, but a Chitzenius Amalchus. And therefore, it's the Inyan Van Reimamas. Yes, a muvdal be'eram mebi'am. Therefore, it can also give rise to the nisim, malubashim b'terach hateva. Can everybody hear? I've noticed that everything's sort of gone a bit dark. Are people able to hear?
Yeah.
Are the people in the Kwakabad also? The people in Kwakabad are hearing?
You can hear Rabbi Gafne. You can hear Rabbi Gafne.
Who's saying that? Who is that? Fakabad?
No, it's Moshe Feli. And Chabad can hear also. No, it's Moshe Feli.
Okay, they can hear. They can hear.
They're hearing.
Moshe and Fakabad can hear.
They're hearing. Okay.
This is
Good.
Polo Land.
And nobody else came in from America or anything like that. I know he's not hearing. No. Nobody came from America, eh?
Hello?
No.
Okay. All right. So therefore we can argue that mitzad the etzem ayin itself, it's am shochav and chokhmah, what chokhmah ubira is am shochav and lamaila. But it's not, that's the koyach of atzilas mitzad atzmai, which later becomes the mokir for the ayin sheba malchus, and that's the penimius of the inif and malchus, atzilas mitzad atzmai. We don't have to argue that it's only the koyach of lamaila me atzilas lagamri. Okay, so begins Rema Shamudo Berev Mebiyah. And that's the Indian that talking as Dvorecha, that the Amshocha of Malchus, of Chokhmah, into all the Makablim and Oilam Atzilas Koilo. Also the Indian from Malchus, that's the Indian from talking as Dvorecha. Yeah, Dvorecha being in the Indian from Chitzenius Malchus. Lahokim or Lorimem, beginners Dvar Hashem. Dainu beginners Chitzenius Amalchus, SHIUR de Labiyah, Lorimem or beginners Remem as Amalchus, to elevate it. Dainu beginners Keser Malchus, the Ine van Azor is not a Keser. Yeah, Lo Nukfer, what that's the Ine van Keser of Zor, La Malchus, and we saw that all the Kesorim. I'm shocked it's a Kesorim, Zemizeh, but that's the Inyan from Keser Malchus, who begins Keser Elyon, Shanasa Aliyah, begins Remas, or Ain Beis, Shalamayla Me'atzilas, that ultimately speaking, we're Marayim that into the Madriga of the, we'll learn the Inyan from Ani, how he's Lagamre Lamayla Matzilas, or the Pnimis of Atzilas, the Hainu, the ayin shel chokhmah, which is awful, became more shy to Atzilas according to the second pshat, of according to both of them, where we have to elevate the dibur of Malchus, the Chitzenius, into a inyan with sof kosor, is lamayla me'inyan Atzilas. That's the inyan that we've had up till now. Nimtzalaf is there. That the koyach ha'ayin sof lahavis as ayesh me'ayin is like he was mavaya earlier, or that's behelam godel b'toich hadibur, b'toich ha'inish hadibur shel malchus, and also in the etzem hanivroim atzmam hamaylim al zeh, and therefore that's a inyan what needs to be elevated and taken back to its original shoyresh, which is through the inyan from pnimius hamalchus, which is the inyan from tzura, and that takes everything back to the shoyresh, often the ani atzmai, or auch upon him, van de mine van Chokma, how Chait Atzilas, what is Meir in the Inyan Amalchus. That's the Inyan of that challenging Perik up till now. So what we'll do is we'll continue now with the Kitzah, and that'll sum up the Inyan, and then we'll begin the coming Perik, which is a very fascinating, what you might call words, into the Inyan van Avodah all of a sudden, with a whole long Inyan. Benagel is bonnen as betfila inyonim, yesug zeh. So the Rebbe says the Kitta of this whole host, omnom beginas Keser and Malchus, he beginas Avdola Atzmias Mebiyah. It's legamre moved out from Biyah, and we saw that's the anything, the Keser of Zoh, the Nase Keser, I'm sorry, the Tiferes de Zoh, Shanase Keser the Nukva, and all the Histalshlers of all the Kesorim, as there mizeh. So the hidden and not the Yinim and the Keser Atzmei, Etzema Keser is hidden in that, and therefore that causes that the Keser of Malchus as in itself two inyonim, the etzem koyach of the nasinas koyach of keser lahavis yesh me'ayin, and yet at the same time it's b'havdola atzmiyas from the yesh, how it is in biyah. It's completely mudom is there. Well, that's what we call in other places, and considers the hilem aboyri mi'anivro. Hagam shezeu harotzen lahaves, like he put down from earlier, but that's a ishtalshlus in the rotzen, and on every madreg you have to have a gilu for a tzeni is butter, and that's the inyan from keser, what we were just describing. So that's inyan from rotzen lahaves. He said, "Hare mikol mokim ishtalsh aksorim yezem yemizeh," which means that even though it's rotzen lahaves, it's lachera taking a shaykhs to oilam as biyah. Nonetheless, all the kesorim are mishtabshel zemiseh, and hidden in that is the koyach ha'atzmi. The koyach ha'atzmi saying tzayv lahavish yesh me'ayin. V'keser elyayin iu keser malchus. The keser of malchus is really keser elyayin, because the makifim amitiyim. כמו כסר המשתלשל זה מזה, not דרך אילה ואולו, דרך כל שארי הספירס והכויכס, אלא המשתלשל הם זה מזה. וכסר אליין, יהיו כסר מלכס, אויסוי, כסר מלכס, אויסוי המהוז, the same מהוז as כסר אליין. ובחינס רימה מסתבה, and that's what gives rise, that's the ani, which is Meir, in the ayin, and that gives rise to the Remus Ateva. The ayin, the malchus, shirshi me ayin de keser. And ayin is oisius ani, and therefore that's the same inyan in other expression, that really the ayin has in itself the koyer of the ani. Bechinas atzma sein tzayiv. V'yesh ayin kolo bani, there's how, like we explained, how the ayin is oil of a kol in the ani, kaziva shemesh b'shemesh. That's how we began the class. Well, kamoy kain yesh ani ba'ayin. There's amshocha, the atzmas in the actual ayin itself. Or kamoy atik ba'ari, the gilil, the atik ba'ari, like we spoke through the mamutza, and the mishum zeh nema ba'ari shona. Therefore it's brought down in Chayei Sorah as Chayei Sorah 100 שנה ו-20 שנה ו7 שנים. It's only in the Yechidiyos that there it mentions Lashon Rabbim, but the two Ike in Yom of Meir Esrim, they are Lashon Yochid. So he said Shona. So how come they're Lashon Yochid? Because there's Meir in the Inyan van Arik, the Inyan van Keser. But that's the Inyan van the Ani betoch Ayin. There's a Rima Masateva. Nies Miseh Nisim Nistorim. Therefore there's an elevation of the Teva also through that Gili of the Ati B'Tech Ha'arim. That leads to the Nisim. However, he argued at the end of the whole chapter, the Yesh Lema, we could also argue to Gam B'chinas Ha'ayin. Also the Ayin as it is separate from the Minyav and Atik, not Makabel directly from Atik. Ani va'ayin k'moy Atik va'arich, but the Inyan of Arich are separate from Atik. Yeah, so he said, "Who b'chinas reimamas liyos nesim." In other words, that ayin itself is a nochanamim Makabel from Arich, but that's already got a certain shayach, like we learned the chokhmah me'ayin timotzei. There doesn't be Ika, the Inyan van Arich are tried to the Gilu Chokmah and Atzilas. So he said, "V'hu b'chinas reimamas liyos nesim." That also is required to give rise to nesim, because that's pnimius hamalchus. V'zehu l'reimam b'chinas adibu elien b'reimamas hamalchus she'i b'aliyah b'chinas reimamas ayin tzayu. So it depends what level you're learning it on. If you learn mitzvah the second pshat, it's in the reimamas of the ayin l'malei me'achokmah. And if you learn the datzilas, and if you learn mitzvah the first pshat, then it's the aliyah into Atik, which the Yikon has seen as clear for the whole Yisavit. All right, so now we'll begin briefly the chapter Shin Mem Aleph, and he now begins, Ulahovin Mahuin Akimo, in order to appreciate more the Sohina of the elevation and the standing up literally and the Ufheben in Yiddish, the elevation and lifting up of the Inyan Advorecha, the Bechitzenius Amalchus, Erizim Biyah, into the Inyan van the Ein Sof. So he says that we have to sort of make a whole Hakdoma. And we're going to see that this Hakdoma is itself a whole Inyan, and then we'll come back to see how it's to what we've been talking about. So he says like this. So he says, "Hine bazoya parsha tetzave," but that's in Ain Beis in the Zoya tried to say for Shmois in parsha tetzave, daf kuf pei gimel, Reish Ayin Aleph, right near the beginning of Omad Aleph. Isa, it's written over there that Bechol Zimna do Ayil Yebanash Le'inon Yomin Elohen. He said at any time when the mensch, Banash is the mensch, Ayil is the Tachi enters or goes into Le'inon Yomin Elohen, into these elevated or higher hierarchy of days. What days is the Inyan for Midas? It means the Inyan for Midas al Yoinas. Yeah, Bain Batzloisa, whether he does that through the Inyan of prayer, or the Chirat Sloisa, the Kavanah Tefillah, the Kavanah Sheman Esrei, L'Chira B'Pashtas. Yeah, Bain B'Shvocha, whether it be through the Inyan from praising, what that's L'Chira the Hachonas to Tefillah, like Psuchi de Zimra, Bechas Krishma. Then auch upon him Itzrik Lekaima al Ragloi. It's better for him, and he's required to stand on his feet. In other words, Tavkir, standing up. But that's an interesting remez that maybe the Inyavan Psuchi de Zimra b'miyuchad. Later on, he's going to say the Biras Krishma. He's got a shaita sitting down, Davki, more. But the Inyavan Shvocha, that what he uses, the Inyavan Shvocha, L'chayra he's referring to Psuchi de Zimra. And he said that has to be Davki standing. You have to be Davki stand on your feet. Yerechin v'gufa kechada tamon. That the thighs or the legs and the body all on one level. Tamon means there or over there. In other words, that when you stand, then your legs and your body are all like one straight line, which indicates that they're all on the same madrega. Yerechin v'gufa lekayimo, the legs and the body, to keep, as it were, to preserve, kidechoiro, that it should be like a male, davka. The kaima b'chele, that a male, he's able to stand on his own feet. How do you call it? Kaima b'chele, he stands with his own power. Yeveloi kenukva, not like a female, the orachoa lameso, that the derech of a female is to sit down, davka. The chaloshes yoyse, if they need a lot of sitting down. Mashinkin, a man, he's got the inyan van chele, the inyan van koya miyuchad, so he can stand davka. But that indicates as a strong and powerful madrega. So he says, Hare. So the Rebbe, that's what the Zohar, up to here, is the Lashon, the Zohar HaKodesh. And over there, if you look carefully in the Zohar, then you'll see that that's a Hemshech to the Inyan van Sfiras Oima. It's a very politic, very nagir to our Zman in which we find ourselves now. The Rebbe says, the Zohar HaKodesh writes over there that Sfiras Oima, the brocha of Sfiras Oima, has to be made davke be'amida. And the reason being that it gives that through the inyav and the brocha of Sfiras Oima, you go into the panemias of Sfiras Oima, and the panemias of Sfiras Oima is the bira, the midas elyonas. In other words, the yom and eloin, what that's the midas of elam ha'atzilas, alidei the amshoches amoichin, and that's later Meir, the bira in all the midas, also how they are in Biyah. So therefore he says the bracha from Sfiras Oima, you have to say davke standing. And there's a whole piece there, that's a hachona, to the end of a Matan Torah. It's an amazing fact. And then it runs over on the Kuf Pei Gimel, and it says that when a mensch is going into the madrega of the midas how they are in Atzilas, then whether it be through prayer or through praises or through what it should be, then he has to stand. Because any aliyah into the Yom Eloin requires Inyan van Amida. It's a very fascinating piece of it, and there's a big discussion by one of the Meforshei Hazoya over there, what he's nicknames to the whole shaila is the standing by the brocha hanhoga toivo, or is it a din be'etem a brisa from the Gemara, or is it just a follow-up from a svara which is brought by the Amoraim? Nafkamina being that if it's a brisa, then it's me'etem a din mamid from the dinaya tanoim, that you have to stand. And the whole Inyan Amida Shaitavki to Sfiras Oima V'chula Agansa Arigas over there. Upon him, immediately following that whole Inyan comes this Inyan, what the Rebbe says here. So what has that got to do with it? So the Rebbe says, Harei Damida Hi Ba'oma de Choiro. From that we see that standing is shot to the world of male, of the Inyan van Zochor is called in Aramaic, the Choiro, de Chayres, the Indian van the male figure, the Indian van Amida is Davki Shaya to the Indian van Zochel. Al der Moshel, Haish, Lafishu, Bal Gvura, Vikoyach, Lohen Yochel Lamed Araglo. As a man is able to stand on his feet, not just stand on his feet for a second, but he's able to stand firmly on his feet and do his Aveda and all the Inyanim B'chinas Amida Davke. He said, Va'evresh bein Yeshiva Lamida, the difference between Yeshiva and Amida, says the Rebbe, is Begimel Dvorim. If we examine them, keep sure that's in Gimel, Dvorim, the difference between sitting and standing. And so what are the Gimel Dvorim? He said, the Aleph, Shebi Yeshiva Haguf HaRaglayim Einum B'madrega Achaz. When you're sitting, your goof is on one, like elevated madrega, and the feet are on a more sort of cast down madrega on a different line. Shaguf Yeshev, Ala Kisei Varaglayim Eim Lamata, and the Raglayim are kilo mushpolim, Lamata. Mashenkim Baramida, Haguf Raglayim Eim B'madrega Achaz. That's what he said in the Zohar, Yeregim v'gufa chachada tomon. That over there on such a level, the goof and the feet or the legs are on the same level. So that's the first difference, or on the same straight line. The second difference is, should be yeshiva harosh nishpa lamata. When you sit down, then your head goes down to a lower point than what it really is. He said, "Ubamida harosh mugba koimosa l'mayla." But when you stand, then your rosh goes up with your whole length, as it were, into an elevated state, and you become a segufa with a rosh, reish galei, as we call it in Aramaic. That the rosh is davke mugba. And the Gimel, the Madrega, the difference, Hashlishi is the Yeshiva, Haragrayim, Mugboim, Minoras, that when you sit down, it used to be the custom in the old days that you put your feet on a how do you call it, a resting stool, and therefore your feet were elevated slightly from the orders. He said, "Who a shafrav? Yeah, shetachas haraglayim." It's like the Gemara says that you have to have a shafrav under your feet, and that elevates your feet. That's like a little stool that they used to put under the feet of somebody who sat on a chair. That's called a shafrav in the Gemara. Amo b'amida haraglayim noigim v'oimdim b'orez. Or when you stand, then your feet are flat on the ground. Oh, he said, in order to understand all this, we have to understand the difference between Krishma and Sheman Esrei. That Krishma Davki has the shaykhs to sitting down, ve'ila de'iniv and Sheman Esrei, but it's Davki amida. So we'll see about that more Be'ez Hashem in the coming episodes. And that's what he says, V'anim shol mizeh yuvan ba'avedas Hashem de Kriyat Shema. The Tafki in Kriyat Shema hu tzleisa de miyushav. It's called a davening, but it's got to do precisely with sitting down. Akamesh kosav mi moish ve'seichem. Yeah, from audio dwelling places, but it's from word yeshiva, to sit down. Taviu lechem tnuva, what is well known that the lashon lechem tnuva is referring to Krishma, to koi el Krishma. Ve'isa bekisvei arizal, shazehu b'yoyza be'elam abriya, and elam abriya legabi atzilas is ayin yeshiva. Ve'yarida. He said that's the union of Kriya Shema in Olam HaBriya, well that's a yeshiva. Shema Nesrei Utzleisa Damida Uba Tzila. It's well known that when you daven Shema Nesrei, like the Alter brings in Tani Prek Lamatez, that you then oila into Atzilas, and therefore is bowing down and Ishtachavui V'chulu. Well, that's due to the fact you've gone up into Atzilas. So we'll see. I must admit my throat is giving me a lot of trouble, so I'll have to pause it this evening. I hope everybody won't be makpid. I missed out on a few minutes, but I'm finding it very difficult to speak properly in Beklal, and I have a sort of painful situation in my throat. But anyway, that's Ad Khan, and from now on until close to the end of the Maimah, we're going to have a big discussion, Panimi, the difference between Krishna and Shema Nesrei, Ba'avoda, B'nefesh Ha'odam, B'pinimis Ain. So there we are. That's Ad Khan Advorim for this evening, and Be'ez Hashem, hopefully we'll learn next week also. I will move a little bit closer to the end of the main inyan we're trying to explain is the Nisim Ayetzim Meyate or Muraboshim B'Teva. Well, if he said, come to us that the Yika concern is Nisim. And I feel the Nisim seem to have a certain shaykhs with the Teva Ho'ilum of a Be'emes, the shaykh, or to the Infanani Kipshutei, or to the Infanani, was Lamala Me'atzilas HaChoponim. And the Ike Oyer of Atzilas, Pnimi Oyer of Atzilas, that's the Infan Nisim. So I think that if we examine carefully and we see everything that happens, we see that we're living in a time of absolute nisim, where we're living in a matter with the Shivim Zavim from the ganze Welt, would all very willingly devour us all, and yet nonetheless, Davki in Eretz Yisrael, B'miyuchad, we see the unbelievable nisim whereby the Eibishter protects the Yidden, and not only he protects them, but he brings to Ainif and Giloi Sof Kol Sof of the Emes Hashem Li'olam. He brings out the Giloi HaEmes. And we learned Likutei Torah in the shul on Shabbos morning, where I give a little share in Likutei Torah. Well, so little, we learn for an hour, but in the Maimah of the Ofu Eser Noshim Lachmechem Betano Echad, where he talks over there about the Teichacho and the so-called Klolis Chas V'Shoim, are really broken, B'chulu B'chulu. He writes over there, the Alter Rebbe, that the Mensch comes to the realization that any emes that he holds by is all given to him no matter. He's only a makabel. And he writes there that the Yinifam Baal HaEmes Noisen Loi is HaEmes. That the Baal HaEmes, but that's the Eibishter, he gives you from his emes. If you just become a real makabel, then you have the emes Havaya. You get the emes of Amitius. Is mitzad the Eibishter, a Baal HaEmes, Noisen Loi is HaEmes. But this is a pili plus from Azak. And that's what we see, that no matter how much everybody tries to fadrei, and all the different isms and shmisms all try to fadrei and talk in Yoni Sheker, because of, nonetheless, the emes shows itself. Ve'emes Hashem li'elam. And we see it in every Yinyan, which everybody knows what I'm referring to. Ain't kind of Moichem Lahari. Anyway, even if I could, anyway, I can't be Marek anyway. But we see that this is a chona to the Inyan Emes Avai Li Olam al Har Sinai, to the Inyan Matan Torah and Kulam Moedim, Matan Torah b'Shabbos hoya this year, Erev Matan Torah Shabbat, and Ochoporim Makabo straight from the Inyan Shabbos, and that's the Inyan it's one on Shabbos, the Inyan Emes Hashem, Li Olam. And therefore the Emes is Maya, and the Emes Emes. Beis Hashem is going to be Maya quickly and swiftly, and we're going to Shabbasim Elizoik, who go all the Krei Velovei. We're going to be Makabel the Torah together with the Moshe Rabbeinu Shalano, with the Melech HaMashiach. Shall Kol HaYehudim Kulam. V'kol ha'olam kula, but this is the Rebbe, and we'll be all Makabel, Torah Mipiv, Torah Samoshiach, like it's Marek in Yeshaya Novi in chapter 11. Over there, what he brings the whole Inyan, but he get to Melech HaMashiach, V'shevet, B'tzedek Dalim, he's going to judge the whole poor people. It means a bittel dike mention, b'tzedek. He's going to be megala to them, the whole Inyan v'tzedek, from the Madrega, from Rome, v'nisa, v'gavoya ma'od, like he writes over there, and the Yeshaya, in the Nevuah in Yeshaya, Novi, and Beis Hashem, it should all be Batzlocha Gedolah. So, everybody forgive me that I'm still a little bit under the weather from a very difficult week that I had. What's it does? A person from our community got hit by electricity. Who? Which community is this? Kwachabat?
Doesn't say.
Yeah.
Is it Migdal Emek? Migdal Emek. Dekel ben Elis. Wait a minute, that's Kwachabat.
The person is from Migdal Yechi Melech.
Who is that? I see. Well, listen, just by the way, you guys, if we're already mentioning people who need, his situation is critical. Is Davki in these days, there's a very close colleague of mine up here that comes to all the classes. His name is Moshe.
Avram Moshe.
Avram Moshe
Ben Zlata Shoshana.
Ben Zlata Shoshana.
Sholamet.
Shalom ben Sholamet Shoshana. That he's been going through a very difficult situation in Tel Shomer when I get to what he suffers from a very old situation of Yana Makla, and he's gone through a transplantation when I get to his blood and everything. Hashem should give it a viva tzlocha, Gedolah Mufloga, and he should have a amasa refuah and a amasa takuma.